All right, Shalom. I like to start by saying, Call Halayim La Yahweh, by Shem Yahweh Shai, by Shem Harakak Radash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and double honors to our elder apostle as well. I heard one by Yashar down in the lines in camp. Salutations to the icon of the push of the truth, sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm Khanak Sam by Yashar from the lines of the Yashar camp. And this is another Lines and News and Prophecy. So here we go. And this is going to be I just, I'm stuck in traffic as a train, and the train's not moving. So I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and do this lesson that I was on my way home to go do. All right. This is Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 1. It says, Speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written on paper, for they are faithful and true. All right. So we already know the words of Yahweh Shema Shai are faithful and true. And look what this article says. It says, Russia in pre-war mode against NATO general. All right. It says Russia has started to prepare for war with Poland. The country's military chiefs has said in comments that echo warnings by European leaders about Moscow's intentions post Ukraine. And I did a couple lessons on this, talking about the same topic right here, dealing with uh what I think Belarus is right next to Poland, and Russia has a heavy nuclear buildup in that area. You see that? And so with that being said, hold on one second. I'm gonna look for a scripture. So what is this? This is exactly what we've been speaking of, prophecies. Matthew chapter 24 verse 6, it says, and you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See to it that ye are not. What translation do I want on that? Do I want that translation? Okay, we'll use that translation. See that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise up against nation, and kingdom up against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places, and all these are the beginning of pains and sorrows, man. You see that? So we look for things like this to happen and on the earth because we know this is part of our salvation. All right. Then you'll be okay. That was the point. That was the point. But it says Russia has started, and what is that? That is who is like unto the beast? Who can make war with the beast? Russia was set up and designed to be the one that can make war with the beast, which is really going into Revelation chapter 13, a conglomerate of NATO, EU, and America. You see that? It said Russia has started to prepare for war with Poland. The military chief has said in comments that echo warnings by European leaders about Moscow's intentions post-Ukraine. It said General Staff of Polish Armed Forces where Wisław Kalua made the remarks to Polish media as his country authorities investigate explosions. Okay, I guess it's moving now. And authorities investigate explosions on the country's railway lines discovered on Sunday. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has said had said there was an unprecedented act of sabotage, and while Warsaw has not blamed Moscow directly, it has previously accused Russia of numerous hybrid acts of hostility. Ari Lyon Carlson, academic co-director of the ESSEC Institute for Geopolitical and Business, told Newsweek that the damage to the railway line sent a warning that hostile actors can hit Europeans' critical infrastructure inside NATO territory. It says why it matters. Poland is a NATO member, and the railway line that was hit provided a critical link in delivering aid to Ukraine. It says Kokola's comments expressed the latest concerns from officials in Europe that Moscow is ready to test NATO's resilience by expanding its uh, belar- belligerence beyond Ukraine. All right, it says Tusk said an explosive device deployed the railway line about 60 miles southeast of Warsaw, halfway between the capital of Lublin. The damage was detected by a train driver who made an emergency stop around 7:30 a.m. Sunday. No one was injured, but Tusk said on X it was an unprecedented act of sabotage aimed at the security of the Polish state and its citizens. You see that? So I did a lesson, a couple lessons talking about the buildup of nuclear power in Belarus, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Belarus is close to Poland, right on the borders of Poland. Yeah, Belarus is yeah, is right on the border of Poland, and on the border of Warsaw, and uh Russia has heavy nuclear military buildup right there in that region. The same kind of buildup they had before they invaded Ukraine. See that? So what happened was in the lesson, it was an article I read in the lesson to where like Ukraine, not Ukraine, but Poland sent like NATO or Poland some they orchestrated like 40,000 troops to go over there on some just in case, you know, on some just in case type stuff, just in case Russia decided to invade Poland. Now here's the thing. You see a lot of articles, and you heard Trump calling uh, uh, Russia a paper tiger, right, or a paper bear or something like that, saying it doesn't have its force because it's taken so long. It's been 3 years for a war that should have been over in 2 weeks, something like that. Putin says. But I've said in plenty of statements that I think this is like a chess move. You know, Russia could have been easily, and even with the funding from, in my opinion, even with the funding from, these other nations and the military arsenal that Ukraine is getting from these other nations, Russia still could have easily wiped away Ukraine and annexed everything. But as these nations keep giving funding and aid to Ukraine, that's money that they should be spending on themselves, especially because if they're NATO nations. Because guess what? They don't know what direction that Russia's going to go into next. You see that? That's the thing. So you know that's crazy because they're around here. So now it says what to know. Tusk said that the explosive device destroyed the railway line about 60 miles southeast of Warsaw, halfway between the capital of Lublin. The damage was detected by a train driver, who made an emergency stop at 7:30 a.m. No one. It says, according to the BBC, investigators are also looking into a second incident further down the same line on Sunday, where train was forced to stop suddenly in what is believed to be another act of sabotage. Investigative journalist Christo Gorsev posted on X posted on X images of the damaged rail track and electrical cable laid across the track on the route to the city. I don't even know of Rezezo, which he said suggested there was a hold on. There was hold on, slacking. My phone's acting retarded. Okay, let's skip down to this part. It says Kukula said that what was happening was not an act of war, rather a pre-war situation on what we refer to as hybrid warfare. He said U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth remarks comparing the current global situation to 1939 on the eve of World War II. Wow. Wow. The second war has passed, but the third war cometh quickly, man. In 1981, the height of the Cold War, were a very good comparison. Colson from ESSEC told Newsweek the suspected sabotage will raise questions about NATO's resistance. It also showed how the war in Ukraine was spilling into everyday layers of Europe's economy, in which railway lines, airport ports, and logistic hubs were frontline spaces, Coulson added. Whatever this guy's name is, assistant professor of Jagiellonian University, Cor- man, this is crazy, and project coordinator at LSC Ideas, the London School of Economics think tank, told Newsweek that Kukula was correct to frame Russia's action against NATO as a pre-war situation, but this does not need to be followed by war. It says the hybrid threats are slacking. The hybrid threats are designed to build an environment favorable for aggression that responds and do not necessarily guarantee escalation to conventional war. Right. But who knows what it's going to lead to. But it says a pre-war measure, you know. Slack it real quick. Let me my phone's acting real retarded. Oh, now just okay. See full page. But yeah, I just want to touch on that a little bit. Let's see if I can go back. Okay. Wow. Hold on, let me get my. But right. So basically, Russia is taking pre-war strategic measures against Poland. All right. There it is, and finally the train's moving. But go ahead and do. So I wanted to do this lesson real quick. But Lord willing, this lesson will edify and serve this purpose for the hopeful elect, the ones that truly believe in the name Yahweh Shem Shai. With that, like I said, call Halayim La Yahweh by Shem Shai by Shem Harakak Wadash Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles, great millstone, double honors to our elder apostles, well, Herawan, Bon Yashar, all down here in the lines of camp. Salutations to the octane of the person of truth, the sincerity and truth, and peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name Yahweh Shem Shai. Shalom.